H2R Show.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another live stream on the old YouTube. How are you all doing on this fine day? Welcome to the show. As I was going to say, as always, but it's actually been a minute since I had my classic co-host on the show, Jonas. How are you keeping?
Well, I'm glad to be back because of that pesky work. In between, I went to Rome, Paris, and now I'm back here on the show.
Oh yeah, it wasn't because we fell out then. We're not going to tell people about that. We'll just keep it professional.
Oh yeah. I signed that NDA that you said, so I'm not allowed to tell.
Oh yeah, that's right. I shouldn't have mentioned it. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. People can tell us... Oh shoot, let me just turn off my very loud music. There we go, beautiful. I love that I have loop on and it was blasting people's ears. So now the music's gone.
Perfect.
Apologies. Now the show starts. Hello. Yeah, so you've been busy working, but I know you've been busy doing some other stuff too. So what's new in the world of Jonas in terms of, app development and all that kind of good stuff? Anything fun?
Yeah, so there's basically two projects I've been busy with. One of them is updating Player B right now only for the Raspberry Pi. They're finally with the 64-bit version of the Raspberry Pi OS. It's not like I need to do any weird hacks anymore for that to work really well. So I took that kind of as a starting step to go down the route of hey, let's update all our dependencies. Let's remove Electron. I did a bunch of updates. Well, my favorite thing is now you can go to playerb:3000/display and just like click what resolution you would like there, and then it sets it automatically on the Raspberry Pi. Probably my favorite feature.
That's really nice.
It works really well. And now that like allows me to more confidently push all the platforms again. Have a like completely headless version for the Pi as well. So yeah. And then the other thing is so not similar is Cloudflare's broadcast, where basically we are together with a couple other cloud people. We're building a cloud orchestration platform that is built from the pains of doing cloud production for 3-4 years for some of the larger brands, and right now we kind of like structured as the different pillars that we're solving. Right now we solved access, because one of the things we notice is like not everyone should have access to AWS, and like teaching everyone to use the AWS console is complicated. And then if you want them to access your instances, then you need to use Parsec or Splashtop or use nice CCV and send them files and a VPN. But then if they send that file to their friend, like they can still get in. And to kind of circumvent all of that, we built the Cloudflare broadcast, where it's a simple one-click interaction to still get in to the instances, but all of that is behind our session manager. So it's not like public, only people signed into Cloudflare can get to it. You can assign permissions, even do like start end time for those permissions. So yeah, I've been busy doing all of that.
You have been a busy boy. That's good to hear. And we got a demo. Was it on this channel or your channel that we did the Flex demo? It was on here, wasn't it? In a live stream.
I know it was with you, but
Yeah,
I don't know
I was
like
there.
where it was.
It's all a blur, isn't it?
We end up doing most shows together nowadays.
Exactly. Somewhere on the internet.
Somewhere we did it.
Let's say hello. Paul saying hello from Germany. Hello, Paul. So intrigued for today's show, Donnie says, from the Caribbean. Ooh, very nice. And greetings from Boston. That annoying, frequently emailing Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Always welcome to have emails from you. I appreciate it. And hello from Morocco as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got loads of stuff to talk about today. But I think one of our headline, shall we say, topics is Companion 4. And who better to show us what's new than the person who has it installed and has been using it and messing around with it for a few days. And Jonas, I'm glad that you were willing to come on and chat some more about that. So Companion, I mean, I feel like I'll take a step back and say if you haven't heard of Companion from BitFocus, it's basically a way of connecting all your devices together and hooking them all up with a Stream Deck to fire off, changes, whether that be one at a time or multiple. And now they've just released version 4 the other day, which brings a whole lot of new changes, of course, and new updates, but a couple of new, like, from the beginning, architecture-y, implementation-y things, which I think we've been waiting on for a long time. So without further ado, I know you're already sharing it on your screen, Jonas, so I mean, we may as well dig in. What would you say is like the number one biggest new change in this V4?
First of all, here's the good news. You don't have to like redevelop all the plugins again. Like all of the modules and connections that worked with version 3 still work with version 4.
Good.
So thumbs up on that.
That's good.
We actually are finally seeing the reason why that painful transition had to be done, because modules are now plugins. What that means is that no longer is like every 3 months or so the current version of that module baked into Companion. Now it's separate. That has one big advantage, that is you can run multiple versions of that module at the same time. You cannot update a module if, like, for example, you say, hey, the ATEM version of this really works well, I don't want to touch it, but I want the latest and greatest H2R Layouts version.
Exactly.
In the past, it kind of was annoying that every time you upgraded your Companion to get another module, all of your existing modules also updated.
Right.
But the other really cool thing is, if we go to the modules here, is you see you can import module packages. So, for example, let's say John would have shared a H2R Layouts package with me. I could import that there, and now I would have a module that isn't even in the existing version of of Companion in here.
It's not all about PlayOP, Jonas, please. Can we talk about something else for a minute?
Fine. H2R Layouts in here. One really important thing that I want to make sure everyone is aware of is Companion doesn't come bundled with those modules anymore. So if you're going on a gig, make sure that you download the offline module bundle so you have at least all of the existing current modules, or at the time of releasing of the latest Companion with you, because otherwise you wouldn't have any of those versions. And I already see that.
So what you're saying, just to be clear then, is if I go on the Companion website and I click download version V4, I walk away from the internet, I have actually only downloaded the base app and none of the modules. Is that what you're saying? Unlike before, which included those 600 in there. Okay, that is correct. Cool.
So now if you go in here, you see that there is Companion here, but there's also the Companion offline module bundle. So you just need to grab those and then you're fine.
Got it.
So that's the one thing I just want to make sure everyone knows, so you don't get caught by that. And to answer another question that I already saw in the chat, if we go, for example, to the ATEM module, you can see all of the versions that are compatible with version 3, I think. And the cool thing is, like, downloading a more older version is as simple as clicking that little plus sign. It pulls it off the registry that they have, and then you can use that. That's one thing that I also saw a couple people get confused by. Let's say we use the ATEM let's use the vMix module as an example here. If you add that here, you might be confused. Hey, why can I not change the module version? First thing you need to do is disable the module, then you can change it. And normally you would only see one here. You can also update like this to manual. But if you want to install more versions of that module, you need to go in here into the modules tab, click vMix, and then I can add all of these different vmix modules. And now if I go back to connections, vmix, I have all of those available as well. That's just something to keep in mind. Yeah.
Cool. So it is possible to mess yourself up, but it takes a bit of effort to accidentally get the wrong version and not have features enabled that you really want to have enabled, right? That's cool. There's
Like
no go
you
on.
could, like the typical on-site, oh yeah, we now also have this weird device, like can you control that? And companion has a module but you don't have internet, so you can't use it. Like I would hate that to be the case.
Agreed. And Paul here actually on that note says it's called the offline bundles. So are there online ways to get the modules? So can you get the modules without having to download that offline bundle thingamy?
Yeah, so for example, John, if you would go to your list and you go to the vmix module, you wouldn't see, I don't think you would see any version in there. And what you see here is if I hit refresh modules list, it pulls down from a website all of these modules. And I can actually give you a little behind the scenes look for us developers. There's a special developer portal that we can use. And in here is where we release versions. So you can just say, hey, I have a new version here, and then it becomes available to the people. But also we can download the TGC file in here. And with that, you then get access, you get the ability to just import that module. So lots of cool new things there.
Yeah, I think if I just share my version here, I have V4 running on my PC. And you'll notice that in my manage modules area, I have these modules installed, but only because they were a part of my connections whenever on this computer already, right? So when I upgraded to V4, in the background, I didn't tick anything actually. In the background, it got all these modules. But you can see that the 625 modules are ignored here. So I would need to go through and find.
Yeah, like
I can't
for
find what I don't
example,
have in here. Yeah.
You can find them and then download them. But like
so if I want
right
to play
now,
out
you
V1,
are. What you're doing right now is that you have the filter there, though. So you have installed,
oh yeah, of
available, and
course, you're right.
deprecated there.
You're right. Yeah.
But what might be a good way to show it is if you go to connections
Connections.
and you'll be like try to add playout B there.
Exactly.
You still will be able to add it there, but it will tell you that like what version do you want there.
Okay. Cool.
It's gonna tell you that you need to install that.
Exactly.
So at that point, it would then download it. And if I go to my screen, I have all of the base versions of all the modules on my thing. So like if I go here and use a thing that I've never used, like a Midas, I already have one version here and I don't need to download it because I already imported that offline bundle.
Got it. And these files I've noticed these files are tiny. So if you still have internet access, even if it's pretty slow access, you won't really notice that much different other than the fact that it's not instantly available. But if you wanted to have all the modules or you have no internet, then it's good to be prepared and try this stuff out before you head off into the field. Cool. So that's the main, like, I guess that's in many ways that's a big fix for developers rather than the users, because I imagine a lot of people who are watching this are just casual companion users and they might not realize that if in the previous architecture, if I released a new version tomorrow of one of my modules, it would go into the sort of queue and then they would get approved and then maybe it would be in the beta within a week or so, but it wouldn't actually be in a stable release for, a quarter. Was it once every quarter you said? Yeah, so it'd be months before you could actually download a stable version, or you'd have to roll with the betas. So in this case, I could get it approved and then, or I could send it to you, but if I want to go through the proper way, I could get it approved and you could just install it within days.
And the cool thing is, as soon as you get it approved, it should also come to the like stable companion, right? Like in the past, you would then use the beta companion, but like it should show up in the non non-beta companion as well. So that's another big advantage, right? Like you wouldn't need to wait for that.
That's a huge one.
I'll be honest, as critical as I know I was on the like 2 to 3 version module change, I now like we're kind of seeing why it was worth it.
It was
like,
worth it. It's
as
good now.
painful as that was, this is really nice. This is what we needed. Interestingly, it also opens the door for like other tools to use those modules, right? Like buttons uses the same modules. There's not really anything preventing like H2R buttons to also exist and use those modules. Which I think is kind of a fair compromise. Like, I know that a lot of people were like, oh, why are you using the paid version now for like buttons with all the like open source things? But
yeah, I'm not
everyone can.
Not too worried. Everyone can, so that's quite nice. Okay, I got questions for you. Truth Seeker.
Great.
Always good to have you here. You want the truth? There's one of the features that you are mentioning here is add logic. This is from the update notes. If statement actions have been added. So there's two things you weren't sure about. If statement actions have been added, and then the other one is internal abort actions have got more granular control now. Are those two things that you have tried, Jonas, or we can at least explore live if you haven't? Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so the I'm gonna set up an item module here.
Sure.
And the cool thing, let's say this is a lower third button. And what I would want to do is every time I press that, it enables a DSK. So I say stream key set on air. Every time I press that, it takes that on air. But let's say we are in a what's it called? In a super source, and you don't want that to happen. What you then can do is you use internal logic if statement.
Oh.
Gonna delete that, and then I'm gonna do this here again. So now I would like put that on air again. And in conditions here, I could say atom program. I could say program if here. Super source somewhere in here. Super source. We would invert that. So if the super source is not in program, we allow to bring in the downstream key. But if it is in program, we disable that.
Right.
In the past, what you would do is like you would build one page with all of your actual actions, and then you build another page that if that condition is true, press that button.
Yeah,
so this is kind of neat. Also having the else here is great. And then the other thing that got also added is action group. So like you can group actions together, which is useful if you want to like execute them in a specific order, because that's one of the other things. In the past, you were able to like set the delay here, right?
Right.
And what you do now is it's sleep. No, it's wait.
Wait.
You add an internal wait here. So what it now would do is like it waits 1,000 milliseconds before doing anything. The big advantage is that it works with expressions and variables and all that. This is a really cool feature. Now let's look at the board. So now board. This is the like you can abort triggers, you can abort buttons, you can abort all buttons on this page. So now it would be like, this is kind of neat, like everything except this button uses specific only on a specific page.
Oh,
So it's a lot more granular where like what you want to abort, which I think is quite good.
that is really cool. A lot of like there wasn't a huge set of release notes for this V4, but each one in that was really handy to have, I think. Yeah, well, okay, there's loads of stuff, but
Yeah, and then
not like a huge update, but like a huge update in terms of how much difference it makes for
yeah,
certain use cases for these features.
another really interesting one is like that they support the Resolve replay editor and
Mm-hmm.
the Resolve like the mini atom thing as well.
Uh-huh, nice.
Um, that's pretty neat. The other thing, see if I go here and I say variable, you can now actually modify if you go to variables here and you say custom variables. You're now able to also use JSON in there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually still an object. In the past, it was one of the issues that like it became text
Oh yeah, it
always.
did, didn't it?
So like it was really complicated to do some more advanced things in there. I mean that's another thing here, right? Like we now have this organization here on the left, also where you get your emulators and all that. Yeah.
That's really cool. A lot of nice things. The chat is alive with Paul saying the S statements are awesome. I'm going to use them so much in my church to prevent mistakes. I've done something. Yeah, that's right. Like, the old make sure people don't mess stuff up. And you can just build in all
Well,
these if statements.
and it's like really and it's really useful because like one of the things that I use them for is you take the atom tally for your PTZ camera and only allow the PTZ camera to recall position if it's not live,
Yes, great.
which like you can, and it's my trick to get away with like cheaper PTZ cameras who look good but the motion is terrible.
Mm,
Like we just use that. So then like in the past like you had to jump between pages and it was complicated. Now like just the presets you are allowed to do light up.
exactly.
Really neat.
And Truth Seeker saying the action groups catch the eyes. Can multiple action groups run in one button? I assume so. You can just do as many as you want, right? It's not limited to one action group per button. Or
Let's find out.
let's find out. Live demo.
No,
Will
it's
it
not.
crash
And
the
you can
computer?
even put an action group into an action group into an action group into an action group. Um,
And infinite scroll. Eventually, it becomes
yeah.
unusable on your screen, and you need a wider screen. That's the only downside. Oh yeah, one other thing I noticed quite different now, and it's taken me a minute to get used to it, is the removal of the tabs on the top. A lot of everything is moved to the sidebar now. So
Yeah.
earlier I was looking for variables, I think it was, and it took me a minute to remember where those were. So now those are moved to the side as well. All makes sense, I think, whenever you're used
Yeah.
to, or yeah, whenever you use the previous version, it's so much nicer this way. Just give everything its page, and then I'll find it. I like that.
Yeah. The one thing that's a little confusing is like in protocols that this part is still here,
Hmm.
but like in surfaces there's just nothing.
Yeah,
I
I
think
see. Yeah.
that's, but like I mean doesn't really matter.
Nah.
One of my, they also have these discover surfaces and remote surfaces which you use to set up Stream Deck Studios and network dock,
Hmm.
which is nice. And I'll show you my favorite. My favorite new module is the satellite module. So often we have this use case where we use satellite and a companion running in the cloud connected to vmix because we found that it's more stable that way because all the polling and all that happens closer to the instance instead
Right.
of like having all the latency down. But the really cool thing is and the problem that we had with that in the past is if I tell you, hey, John, please use satellite instead of your local companion, you might say, well, and how do I control my space comms or my other comm system then? And that's a really good point. And in the past, we didn't have really a good solve for that. Now there is, because there's now a satellite module. And right now I'm doing something a little crazy. I'm connecting to itself through that. Let's see if that works. If I type in the IP address correctly, it will.
That small
There we
step
go.
you need to do.
And now I need to go to another page, and there's only one page, which is one thing to keep in mind is that now you can create more pages. So this is my satellite. So if I just go here, before I go to presets, satellite, buttons, I can pull those over here. And what you'll now notice is we have the button from page 1 there again.
Yeah, okay.
You can press it, it updates all of that, which is really useful. Yeah.
That's really neat. Nice demo. We will no doubt have more questions and comments about Companion, and we'll dig into it again in the future, I'm sure. But it's fun. It's really fun to see what's come a long way. And a comment from Diego saying, "Why is it free? I love it. I use it daily. But what's the catch?" I mean, I guess there's no catch really with Companion, other than the fact that it was like free and open source from the start, and it's kind of, it would be difficult for them based on their users. Really the growth it saw, it would be very difficult to backtrack and close that off and make it a paid tool. And I think in many ways, Buttons has become what, Companion could have been or would have been if it was paid from the early days, right?
Kinda, but also Buttons, like Companion, I don't think Companion would be viable as a commercial product. Because like it's unique in the way that like you and me, we can both also add support for our tools.
Yes.
Like that is really something unique about Companion and it being open source. That being said, if you go to the Bitfocus website, there's ways you can donate to them.
Exactly.
For Companion only. Buttons is their paid product. But like, yeah, this is the reason why it is still free. It's people like Julian, Jeffrey, and Will, like, who spent their time doing this for fun, I guess, for free, because they get enjoyment out of it. Like, I like building Companion plugins now. Like, I'll admit, it's a lot easier now with version 3.
Yes.
Especially with Claude now being up to date on how to build it. It has been quite fun, but like it really is nice that you can like integrate it. Look at that. Who's that? Do we know that person?
Who's that young lad?
Yeah, like crazy. Look at that old Stream Deck.
I need to every like, it's not every week, but at least once a month I'm on this website for some reason or other, and I'm like, oh, I need to update that video. And actually, I think now with V4 out, it's time to make a new Companion video. There's things in that video I talk about. It's like, it would be a nice feature to have this, and they fixed it like 5 years ago. So it's about time that it got a refresh. So that's on my list.
I also love that like literally the whole website got redesigned and everything, and like the only thing that's still left there is the good old hey everybody.
Me years ago, like 5 houses ago,
Yeah.
old logo, everything's changed. There's nothing. I had hair back then, basically bald now, so time has been cruel, but it's been good to Companion. It's come a long way since then. It's the only thing that looks better in that video these days is Companion. Pretty sure of that.
Let's see, do we have a screenshot of it?
Yeah, let me just get a bit closer. Oh, come on, Jonas. You're not paying for premium? It's time.
I am not on that browser though.
Yeah, I have the
I'm
same.
even a channel member, so like I should like get no ads at all. There we go.
It's true.
Now we're
Okay.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, look at that.
I
That's so funny. The old grid system. Wow, it's come a long way,
it
hasn't it?
yeah, like and it oh look at that software. That
Oh, I forgot that legacy software made it into that video. I haven't watched this video in a long time.
that's kind of funny. So that's another
That's really
reason why you
funny.
need to do it again, but like
Maybe I'll show off a new app. In
do
fact,
that.
if I
Do you
want to,
have any new app you could
yes,
show
I
up that
do. But
like
before I dig into that, actually, I wanted to. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but um, the fine folks at what do you call? Let me get my computer up here. At CP3 Design. Now, this is not sponsored by them in any way. Well, technically not really. They reached out and said that they had this cool rack mountable Stream Deck 3D printed thing that they wanted to send over and for me to show off on the channel. So I said, why not? So I'm not really, other than having this review unit, so to speak, in my space here. This is not a paid ad, although I guess you could say since they sent it over, yes, it is. But they're not, not paying me to say anything good or bad about this thing. But I thought it was really cool. So it's a like I said, 3D printed enclosure, so to speak, for a Stream Deck XL. I have one here, slots in there, and they sell these little modules that are rack mountable. Now you can look at this and think like, well, this is not going to fit in a rack because it's a little too small. So I have this Stream Deck XL module, and you can get that multiple of those if you want. So you could mount two together in a rack unit, and then whenever you've got it installed in your rack unit, you can see the little ears on the side there, right? You can slide it out, and it tilts down into somewhat ergonomic position. So then you can have two of these side by side if you wanted, and wire it up and connect it up to your computer inside the rack. Or in my case, what I could do with their other little module here, the Pi module, is I could install a little Raspberry Pi here and have all the connections come out the front. I'll just take off this little cover. They've got SSD one here as well, so I could connect that up and have a little like dock style at the back and just slot in an SSD if I wanted, with a Pi beside it. Put these two together. In fact, why don't I just? It'd be easier if I played my little video that I recorded earlier. Come with the little screws and all that stuff, and I can put them together, and then it'll fit nicely in a little rack. So there it is with the two side by side connected up. One of the reasons I said yes to having it on the show and chatting about was that they were kind enough to offer a discount for anybody watching. So if you are watching, you can find it in the chat below this video. I'm trying to remember what it was. H2R10. You can use that code for 10% off at the shop, and go over there, check out their stuff. So like I said earlier, they have the XL bundle, which is the one I actually am looking at here, which is the Stream Deck XL with the Pi beside it. But you also have these little modules that you can get by themselves, or in this case, like a double SSD one if you wanted, or you could just get them separately and I suppose somehow mount it into your rack. But I think it kind of makes sense side by side. And they sell some other stuff. It's 3D printed, so it kind of means it's not. You can decide yourself where the pricing's at for you. I have a 3D printer, and this is done better than I would have 3D printed it, because I, like many hobby 3D printers, me being the printerist, I have given up all hope in printing anything that is in any way usable for a long time. It's purely just for the fun of it. So yeah, check out the link below, get a discount on the store. But otherwise, they just said, can I send it over? And I said, sure, I'll have a look at it on the live stream. So there you go. If you want, check it out.
Does it also work with like the half rack with Blackmagic stuff like an Ultra Studio and things like that?
Ooh, that's a good question. I only have thirds beside me here. Um, but as far as I can tell, it is exactly half a width, and
Nice.
I'm slotting it into one of the Blackmagic. I just happen to have an empty Blackmagic shelf here right next to me. You
Yeah.
can just about see me slotting it in there. Oh no, wait, you can't. Let me cut to my camera. Um, so it does fit nicely in there, and it's taking up about half. So you could actually, you know, attach it in there, and then you could put a one half of something else beside it, and not another 3D printed one, and then a little XL comes out, and you can use it. Actually, I can almost see it um, on my setup here. Quite neat. I thought it was fun, and I'm keen on getting more random little bits and pieces into the studio to show off and test out. So if you're building something like that, you're 3D printing something, get in touch, and I can show it off and chat about it in all these fun videos.
What also would be interesting, I went down this rabbit hole and like bought tons of different Raspberry Pi enclosures once again.
Mm-hmm.
And
Being there.
I don't know if you can see, there's like this one
Yeah.
that has everything at the back and has two full-size HDMIs. So like I kind of wonder if there's a place for something like that. Hold 1 second.
More to come. The things we have within reach are ridiculous sometimes.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Like, so this other thing that I haven't gotten to run yet, but it's this tiny little cute
Oh.
cube. And what you put in there is a compute module 4.
Ah, yeah.
So it's like a Raspberry Pi 4. I need to see if I can need to buy one. But like the cool thing is like imagine that small thing being like your companion server or like your PlayOutB or H2R graphics server. Two full-size HDMI outs, two USBs, USB-C in, Ethernet. Like, what else would you want? It's
What else could you possibly need?
yeah.
It's really cool.
I've once again gone down that rabbit hole. Way too deep. Like within reach of like all these 3D printable parts to
Yeah.
put like a Raspberry Pi in places and
It's a mess. It's a mess. One question that popped in there: can two Stream Deck modules be mounted together? I don't see why not. I know on their website here they have the details of this one on the Stream Deck module, so they are just taking up half the rack unit. So yeah, you could just get two of those and put them next to each other. Although I'm sure they can say otherwise.
That being said, they are using a Stream Deck right now, not the Stream Deck modules yet, right?
Correct, but I asked them. I don't even know if they. When we started talking, this came from the UK to Sweden here, so it took quite a while to get here because of imports in and out of the EU, as is a fun time, But we had started talking long before the modules were like properly out there. I have one here. Da-da. So I don't see why not in the future they could look into supporting those two. But it's like designing these things from scratch and testing them out. So maybe they're looking into it. I encouraged them to. So that would be even better, wouldn't it? If you just got that plus the module. The thing I like about the solutions people come up with until now, before the modules were a thing, is that it really feels like you can slot in something you already own in there. So if you already have the XL, it just feels right to it actually just like clicks in there really satisfyingly. In fact,
here's the interesting thing.
Yeah.
I kept thinking about this, and I bought myself a 3D printer, a Bamboo A1 Mini, and I got really sad when I realized that I can't build myself a Stream Deck XL enclosure because it's too big.
Right.
But turns out it is a module if you take it apart. So that's what I did.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
So like, it turns out
it's exactly the same.
There's a couple really annoying things like the left side is smaller than the right side.
That is annoying.
Super interesting. The USB-C is just like a couple headers on the back.
Yeah.
So,
So
like it's less like production ready to be sold as module, but like this will totally work. And now this is actually small enough that I can build an enclosure with my 3D printer. So
exactly.
quite excited about that.
That is nice. And it's the same for this this one as well, the 15. I don't think the left and right is as noticeable. But it has that little sort of head on it. But this one does have the USB-C like directly connected on there. And anytime I see the module version of the 32, it is an extra connection, which feels a bit more like this could break off, or this could like fall off very easily if you don't be careful about it. You know.
I mean, the other side is that it is very replaceable that way.
Yeah, that's true. If you have to replace it.
Yeah. The other thing is, have you gotten your hands on the Stream Deck with the scissor keys yet?
You're showing it there. No, I haven't. I really want to see what that feels like. Have you?
I mean, I ordered mine just because like might as well give it a try, but keep getting emails. It's like, yeah, well, a little later. So I haven't gotten mine yet, but maybe next time.
Yeah.
On air. I'm trying to like figure out a way to like show how it feels to press the buttons.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. We'll see how it is. I'm sure it will make a bunch of people happy, but like honestly, since the version 2 of all the Stream Decks, I haven't had any major issues.
No.
People seem to like worry more about it than it's worth.
Yeah, it definitely was worse before. I remember being unhappy with it in the early days, but it would be interesting to have a go at these ones and see how different it feels. But yeah, I'm all right with the way it is right now. So sticking on the old companion, I'm gonna show version 3 again. Could you believe it? How dare I? Because I decided, even though we but we made it work in the pre-show for me to use H2R Layouts in version 4, but I realized it's on the wrong computer and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't working the way I wanted it to work.
So all of that work for nothing?
All of that work for nothing. But I still have my demo. So H2R Layouts, which I released like 2-3 weeks ago, the idea is I have my ATEM super source up in my multi-view, or sorry, in my sort of on my screen here so I can show off what's happening. But effectively, I'm connected to the ATEM and I can cut between or animate between layouts. And by far the biggest request, I would say, well, there was 2 requests. One I've just added in here is the ability to edit layouts from within the app. So now you can just, drag things around if you want, just like on the website. Obviously, that was a perfect request and it was going to come. But the other thing is Companion, which is something I really wanted to add as well, but I just didn't get around to for the release. So what I have working on, classic case of working on my computer, but it is basically ready to release. It's just not quite in the stable release yet. Is H2R Layouts, the app companion module. And my idea here is that you can take all of your layouts as you see them here, and then based on their name, you can create buttons in Companion as you would hope. So if I run a layout in Companion, then it talks to the app, which talks to the ATEM. Looks good. And you can rearrange your layouts and stuff, and it will, because these are all presets that I've built. So in H2R Layouts presets run by name, I have my names in here, and if I make changes on the in the app, those are passed over to the presets. I just have to go back and forward once just to get these presets to update, but all good there. But I thought it'd be really cool if I could also get the image in there too. So now I have this little, as part of the module, which will be coming out soon enough, I hope. I have the images of the layouts as they are seen in the app. Now there are I've noticed just some slight little differences, but that's because I made some changes to the app today. So you will see some slight differences, but close enough for this demo, I think. If I drag in these little previews, so I'm just setting basically under the hood, setting the PNG of that image, or sorry, that button, and it gets stored in there. And then if I press that, it goes to that layout. So I can see this being a really nice way of creating a nice page with just these images on there, and then you can punch between each of the layouts, and you basically know what layout you're going to. The only thing I didn't add to the app yet, which actually exists solely in the API/companion module, is the notion of full, going to full. So one of the things you'll see here is I have this. It's called 4box, but that's terribly named. It should be like full one or something. Let's just call it that. Where you go from the 2 up or the 4 up to like a single shot, right? And you notice my colors are wrong, but that's just because I set them wrong in the ATEM. Don't worry about it. What I can do now is go to the 4box, and then I can also use these presets that I've made, run to full by image or by name, and I can just go straight to box 1, or box 2. So if I run to full 1, I can go back to 4, to full 2, back to 4. So that'll kind of save you from creating individual layouts within your sort of interface here, and clogging up the interface with a bunch more layouts just for the singles. You can do all that via the API and via the presets, and then just have buttons. So you have your layout that you always use for like 4 guests, and then you can have those individual close-ups on each of the guests. I just wanted to give this a little demo today because I know that people will have thoughts on it, but also because it's kind of making its way out soon. Then I have a place to point people towards and see this is how it works. And it's just like any other connection in Companion, where you can just point it at the local computer, which I've done here, or you can point it at another computer on the same network that's running the Layouts app. Okay, quick little demo. Complete.
There you
Fun.
go.
It's a very demo time today.
That's pretty cool module. I am glad you went with using WebSockets instead of just HTTP. Is there right now, is there an indication on what layout you're on, so you kind of know where you are?
I haven't done that yet, but I was thinking about it just today, where the buttons should which one was it? This one. Yeah. So the buttons should really give you feedback to say like this is the last one that you pressed. That my concern is that if you were then to go change it in the ATEM, that it's no longer the truth that this is the current SuperSource layout that you have, pressed, or this is not how it actually looks in the ATEM, because there's 2 ways of changing it, and because I'm not really, I guess I could listen for that too, but I don't know. I haven't really figured that out exactly yet, but I definitely want to add that. Yeah.
Because if you were pulling it and which layout is it closest to? That gets messy real quick. Yeah, probably don't want to talk to the ATEM that much.
I want to be as quiet as possible. Although, absolutely, I'm gonna do a save of this is the last button you pressed or the last layout you recalled, and then give you some feedback to say this is the active one as far as we know it to be true. That's a good idea, definitely. Cool. See, I knew that somebody. I did not expect it to be you, to be honest, but I knew it was somebody would have an instant piece of feedback.
I'm sorry. I already ruined it.
Truth Seeker asking about H2R Layouts. You got me salivating over H2R Layouts. I understand vMix is not ready yet, but is there a broad estimate on future availability? I would say companion module and editing. The release I did the other day, which I've just showed off there, has actually cleared a lot of things for me. So vMix is not far behind. But I'm not, to be honest, I'm not in any huge rush to get there, because I really wanted to just get the ATEM stuff right before I added another dimension of difficulty. I will also say that I've, as you could probably tell from the app, if I go back to that, I have really built it for like these four sources because we know that to be the case in the ATEM. So I've concentrated so far on four boxes basically. Um,
How does it work with items where you can like connect two super sources together and use 8 boxes?
I have never used that, so I never added that as a feature on the old version, nor this new, on the web-based version, nor this app
Perfect.
version. So it's always been oh yeah, I need to get an ATEM that does that, and then I never near an ATEM that does that. And when I am near those ATEMs, it's usually on productions, and I don't want to say, hey, can we
Yeah.
stop for 10 minutes while I mess around with cascading? Um, so uh, it doesn't support. So it does support the two supersource indexes. You can choose between supersource 1 and supersource 2, but it doesn't actually go beyond those four boxes. Although you're right, if I add the up to 8 boxes in that case, it'll make sense for all the vmix stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, over on the website or the web version, whenever you build a layout, I do support vmix over there. So I have already sort of got that done where I support up to 9 boxes. So it's not, terribly far from possible. It's just more a question of how, because the vmix part, just to dig into it some more, in the sort of web app version, you download a virtual set for vmix. Although I think in the app version it'll probably
Yeah.
directly talk to a input and change its sort of multi-view layers or whatever they call it these days. They used to call it multi-view layers. Do they just call it layers now? Yes. Um,
I think it's just layers and like yeah. I could see it working where like you even have like two inputs that are
mm,
like your dynamic inputs that you can use. So like you can animate between them. And then like of course the big question comes like, do you still send like that many API calls or do you let vmix do the animation and all that?
yeah, exactly. Because that was always the reason I never really got around to it in vmix, or like really pushed it hard, is because you can do merge transitions in vmix and it does the magic for you. So do I want to send all those API calls? I'm not sure, but maybe. I'm already sending
Yeah.
all those API calls to the ATEM, and it's, I wouldn't say a documented feature. So you know, maybe vmix will be a bit gentler on those changes. So vmix is in the pipeline, but I have no idea if I could give you a timeline. Um, Soon-ish, but eventually. Okay, that rounds up John's demo corner. We need like a little jingle for future shows, product
Yes.
highlights and demo of the day or whatever. And
Today's
some
demo of the day is brought to you by H2R Layouts.
exactly, and it's about H2R layouts. Jonas, did you watch WWDC yesterday? And did you
Kinda.
did you enjoy the liquid glass as much as the rest of us?
I don't know. I'm a little confused by it. I think like what actually tells the story is like all of the OSs now having the same version number,
I
that
like that.
happening to be a year, so that sets them up for yearly cadence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Plus also all of them having a same design language. It
Mm-hmm.
almost feels like they like I don't care about the design language. Sure, that looks great. Aereo peak of Windows Vista is back.
Mm.
Great. The one thing that's kind of neat is like how it reacts to you, but like it feels like that is something that will be a lot harder and weirder for like third-party developers to get right as well,
Mm.
which might like in my opinion it's a little bold to assume that that will work well,
Yeah.
but it feels like they kind of like revamped the whole code base and made it like closer together. I saw some interesting commentary about like why is like Apple building their own like Mac OS competitor on the iPad? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of see that. Um, but the one thing that really excited me is like how much they position the iPad as like a creator tool
Hmm?
almost. And the one feature that is really interesting is that you're now able to do a local record while you're
Mm.
on Zoom or these other calls. The other thing that really surprised me is they showed a web-based podcasting platform.
Yeah, I missed this. When did this happen? What did you see?
So I just pulled up the website and I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to see if I can find it in the thing. But like as they were showing that whole thing,
Mm.
they were also yeah, there we go. So like I was
Huh.
surprised that they would show a website. Like
Mm.
uh also how do you get your website features on the WWDC
Yeah,
demo
exactly.
again? Like just asking for a friend.
Not an easy task.
But let's see if I can get to the point where they're showing it.
I feel like they're going to be really. This feels like one of those times
Video.
where I don't want to share your screen because you know how
That's fair.
picky they are.
I'll um so this is the other interesting thing that like now
Yes,
in the past you had to do like like in your app select what microphone to use.
that's right.
Now it's like a OS type setting per app,
Mm.
which like that's really interesting because like on the Mac OS, Apple has done something similar with all the weird reactions, right? Like it's almost like they created virtual cameras for all your hardware cameras and like go through a video pipeline first, which
Mm.
like that really opens up the possibility for all of those like local recordings for whenever we get to do the release our Spacecoms app. This is going to be interesting because you can also use voice isolation and all that.
That's
And let's
right.
see if I can find the record thing real quick. They claim that like now you can record studio quality
Mm.
video audio with the earpods. I'm like, oh, come on, guys, it's still physics. Like,
Yeah,
um, this is where they show the local capture.
that's right.
You record it on your end. What annoyed me a little bit, it's like they said, well, an echo cancellation fixes all the issues with like hearing the other person. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if how
Uh-huh.
well that's gonna work. But the real cool thing is if we just skip forward a little bit, they don't show it, but like at the end, you just save it. It's in your files and you can upload it.
Yeah, exactly. There it was,
Um,
saving at the top of as a notification, which is really
oh yeah,
nice.
that is. So that's really neat. The other really interesting thing that I talked about is like X background tasks for exporting from
That's right.
like this was interesting because they talked about background tasks like, hey, we're exporting from Final Cut on the iPad, and then like you go further and they mention Resolve as
Mm.
well.
Mm.
Um, Blackmagic really has a unique relationship with Apple. I feel like
They do.
they did so much work on making Resolve work with the native Apple
Mm.
Silicon
Mm.
that like I kind of feels like they're getting a bit of a dividend there.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Yeah, they get
Yeah,
mentioned a lot. That's pretty cool. Some nice updates, definitely. And yes, we do care a lot about all of a sudden what's new in these kind of worlds because we are actively working on our native apps for space comms. So it's exciting. Oh, and I have a nice little photo here of us. We look very different in this photo than we do today. Um, but this was us very excited and also very tired looking, um, making the iOS sort of in development app work for the first time, and we were talking to each other in that photo, phone to phone, which was quite fun. I like
well,
that.
and it's an Android phone to an iOS
That's true.
phone, which also like is more exciting
It is more exciting.
to me.
Mm,
Um,
that sort of moment of like, oh, it totally works. So that was
yeah,
really fun. We're progress is being made there, and I love it. Really cool. Cool. Any other updates for us, Jonas, or should we call it a day? And
no, I think it's time to stumble around how to end the show again and
well, we don't need to
do
stumble
all
anymore
that.
because one last question though before we go.
One more.
Oh, wait. No last questions. Oh yeah, there we go. What about the background box? I think that was H2R Layouts, and I don't have an answer for you. So that's why I backtracked and then I pressed it anyway. So maybe I'll have an answer in the future.
There is also another question
Oh,
that
is
you
there?
could ask.
Okay, let me find it. What is
From
the question?
Nate.
Nate.
About companion satellite.
Perfect. Go for it. Any plans to have companion satellite for redundancy, i.e. 2 companion instances synchronized in case one server were to fail? Then the satellite can fail over to the backup companion instance.
So I was about to show you how cool it is that companion satellite now also works over WebSockets instead of just TCP, and then I forgot that I uninstalled companion satellite off my computer. So I can't show you. But one of the cool things with that is that you can now just put like AJ proxy or any other proxy that supports WebSockets in front of 2 companion instances, and it would not seamlessly, it would like disconnect and then reconnect to the other instance.
Yeah.
Fail over between those. But yeah, definitely. We do kind of do that most of the time for our high profile events where we have like infrastructure separated in 2 different availability regions. Each person gets trained and we do like a chaos test where we say, hey, flip over to the other instance now.
That's fun.
But most of the time, our primary TD and our secondary engineer are on different companion instances. So if one of them goes down, the other person still can help.
But how are you keeping those in sync then? Ensuring that one button that gets added 5 minutes before does not get lost.
We do a lot like I use my scene selector, which is some custom code, so there's a lot less buttons needed. We have a lot of dynamic things in there, and we don't allow our operators to just randomly add buttons.
Smart. That's a good way to do it. Yeah. Cool. Good answer for our last question of the show. All right, thank you so much, Jonas. What's the next big thing on your agenda in the coming weeks? Anything nice planned?
Nothing.
That's a
great question. I'm gonna do some more work on some remote control solutions and doing a little vacationing. And I think we both will work on pushing out that pesky SpaceComms app.
We sure will.
We find like seeing it working was great, and I really love the UI and design language of it. And maybe we need to make it liquid class or something.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just hold off.
That's our main focus.
We just needs more liquid. That's probably the new design feedback changes. So we'll work on that. Yes, definitely over the next few weeks. Cool. Well, I guess we'll see you on another live stream another day. And I was going to. Some people have been asking as well if anyone's going to Infocom. Unfortunately, I am not going there, and Jonas is not going in there either. But I've got lots of questions from people around saying, "Are you going?" But no, one trip to a long, faraway trip once a year was enough to do me for this year. So, thanks for asking, though. And thanks for watching. Thanks to the supreme supporters of the channel, as always. Revolution Lightboards, Marlon as well, and all of you for watching along and commenting and saying nice things and asking good questions and all that good stuff. And we shall see you in a future live stream. Until the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.